Right, if you pull up a modern map of North Mississippi, you will see Olive Branch. It's a booming real estate market. Here, the houses are manicured, the lawns are nice, it's booming new construction and growth, modern commerce everywhere. But before you look at today's thing to know the history, you've got to pull up the layer of Goodman Road, the asphalt, and take it back to the dirt road when this place was Olive Branch. But before it was known as the City of Peace, it was also named after a man who was intertwined with the supernatural. In 1842, if you wanted to mail a letter or if you wanted to trade goods, you didn't put Olive Branch. You put the Crossroads, the Watson's Crossroads, as a matter of fact. You see, this crossroads is right where the Chickasaw Trails intertwined, and the Watson family had a prominent name and owned the land there. The only problem with that is there was one family member who had a little negative towards his name. He was not looked on too kindly. As a matter of fact, just north into Memphis, he had just written and done a lot of studying, and he wrote a book called The Clock Struck One. When we talk about real estate today, in today's times, we usually look at a few things like we look at zonings, we look at market values, we look at school districts, we look at commerce, we see what kind of lifestyle we want to live in or live towards or have in our lifestyle. But what we really don't understand is how that area came about. And today we're going to talk about how this tiny town had a dark spiritual time that started this whole growth. To understand this story, we need to go back and build a basis. You see, right here in this area in Olive Branch, in the early 1830s, this was Native American land, and this was a trail or a crossroads where Native American paths crossed. It was raw, it was dense. You know, it had a lot of trees. Can you imagine the South having a lot of trees? But it had a lot of trees, and it was just paths. See, when the white settlers came here, they used to call this area the cow pens. If you know anything about cattle, you know in order to move them or catch them, confining them into little spaces, corralling them is important. So the white settlers would use this area to corral livestock because it was narrow paths, it was raw, it was dense, like I said before. But then the Watson family bought this area and settled, and it became the Watson's Crossroads. This was a vital trading hub right here. And the Watsons who owned it were landowners, they were intellectuals, they were entrepreneurs, but they were also deeply spiritual. And it was the 19th century, and we just finished the war, disease was looming, and there was always this question that people were asking, and it was, can we speak to the dead? Okay, now here's where the story really starts. And a lot of the old locals and the storytellers say it starts right here. We're going to enter Samuel Watson, a Reverend Samuel Watson of the area. He was a deep intellectual theologian, and he studied the scripture all the time. And he was well respected in the area. And so these questions were being asked all the time, and he would do his speaking. And it wasn't until there was a dark time in his family that he really began to question things. See, in 1855, he lost loved ones, and he had a real experience basically where the physical world and the spiritual world met, according to the stories. The accounts of the Watsons investigation became a regional legend. According to the manuscripts in 1872 in his book, The Clock Struck One, Reverend Samuel Watson, the local Episcopal bishop, hard word for me to say, and five prominent doctors, physicians in the area started investigating this phenomenon. Local lore recounted this story several times, and it went like this. There was a massive grandfather clock, mechanical. So all of its elements, it hadn't been greased, the weights had not dropped, it hadn't ticked a second in years. And It was just a centerpiece or decorative centerpiece for people to see. At the exact moment within a family member passing, that massive clock rung, boom. And silence was interrupted with this phenomenon. Some heavy hand, some spiritual heavy hand, rang that clock as the physical world exited into the spiritual world. Okay, so this really shook Samuel Watson, and you can imagine because if I had been in the room and had been dead silent, I just lost a loved one, and then the clock that never worked suddenly rang, I would have been out the door. But it really transformed him so much so. I mean, he didn't hide it. Like he went into the streets. He was well known, and people were listening. It became a sensation, and he wrote a book in 1872 about this whole experience. See, his argument was that the soul never really leaves the building, it vibrates. And so it caused a lot of controversy and talk because of this experience. And I don't know if you've seen the book or even heard the book. This story intrigued me. So I looked it up, found the book, downloaded it, and have started reading through it. Now it's kind of crazy because the language in it is of that century. So translating it to where we are today with all the words is kind of fun. But you should give it a try and really see where it stands. This book caused such a stir that it eventually led his split from the Methodist Church into Christian spirituality. Stop right this second. You see that red button below? I want you to click it right now because you're not going to want to miss out on things that happen on this channel on a regular basis. By the time this book was published in the 1870s, Watson's Crossroads here in Mississippi had changed its name. See, it was seeking a peaceful new start, and it became Olive Branch. Get it? An olive branch. And so it wanted to have a name that represented an area of peacefulness. So we all know that the Watson story still has some history and energy here in the city. All right, I know what you're asking me. You're saying right now, Jennifer, really, what does this 150-year-old story about a broken clock have to do with real estate? You see, real estate is more than just the timber, the market values, the lifestyle that you're living. It's about the energy that a house produces. How do you feel when you walk through a front door? Have you ever walked into a house and as you're in there, the smells, the environment, the pictures, it just is peaceful, right? And you can see your family living in there. Or if you ever visited a perfect house, like it fits all the boxes that you're looking for, and you go into it and it feels very cold and empty, and yet you couldn't see yourself living in the perfect house. See, that's what Reverend Watson believed, and especially in that moment that he experienced. He believed that your house absorbed your energy, your lifestyle. It absorbed the laughter, the tears, the sad moments, the growth moments, and that it all left an imprint on that property. See, people come to Olive Branch, and that's why they come to Olive Branch. They come looking for that opportunity, the peacefulness, and the American dream that this city offers. Okay, you're probably on the fence. You're probably one of those that really believes that the clock can strike one as a sign, or you're one of those who just believes that this is part of the deep history. But whether you're either one of those, we all can agree that a home is more than just a building. Old Watson's Crossroads has transformed into this incredible city. And so whether you're looking to buy here in this area or you just want a clock that ticks when it's supposed to, I want you to give me a call right now. Our team, my husband and I have a top producing real estate team, and it is our goal to help you. We empower people with the disguise of real estate to help you find that place that you're looking for.